Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to what will be the last TBT transfer talk of the summer transfer window. Obviously, deadline day today. Certainly been a hectic window for Liverpool. I mean, there's not too much. Obviously, 9 players have come in so far. Origi obviously going out on loan, but it's all about the outgoings today, really. There's not much happening regarding incomings at the moment. Anyway, you know what deadline day is like. There might be something later, but it seems very doubtful at the moment. Um, the only thing sort of mentioned regarding incomings last night, it emerged that Liverpool are actually targeting Victor Valdez, the obviously the old Barcelona keeper, very good goalkeeper who is gonna, is on a free transfer. Looked like he was gonna go off to Monaco, but yeah, he's injured at the moment, and he's obviously on a free agent, so we don't actually have to do that today. So we've got a bit of time to assess that, but I think many people would be very happy about that transfer if that one was to go for eventually. But it might be, they're talking October, November before he's playing again. So maybe have to wait another month or so before that one goes through. Just to keep you updated, just to get you up to date then with all the latest outgoings and stuff at the moment. Brendan Rodgers said yesterday, obviously after the game, that there's obviously a few players, well more than a few really, sort of 5 or 6 players who have obviously been told that they're not, they're not needed. You can basically guess who they are. Just basically all the players that haven't been involved with the squad. It doesn't take much for a genius to work that out. So Sebastian Coates is one. He had a very good pre-season, and some people sort of wanted him to stay, but he's obviously down in the pecking order with Lovren coming in, and Sarko, you saw, play very well yesterday in his third choice, and Kolo Touré turned down moves to stay, and it looks like he's obviously ahead of Quatters in the pecking order. He was linked with Sampdoria. Damasio linked him with Sampdoria earlier in the window, but that didn't come to anything. And you'd assume that there'd be quite a few teams in for him because, as we've seen, he is a very good centre back, still very young. He's got a lot to his game. He's tall, he's very good in the air, but he's also very good on the ball, and can play both sides of defence, right centre back, left centre back. But he's had a medical today at Sunderland. Obviously, Gus Poyet, being Uruguayan, knows him very well, I'm sure. And yeah, that one looks all good to go through. We're just waiting for confirmation on that. But he's had a medical at Sunderland today. What will be a season-long loan move. So it might be that he comes back next summer or something, and we're assessing them. But hopefully, have a good season there because you think about the centre backs that they've got. They've got Wes Brown, John O'Shea. I think their other centre half, Roberge, who's gone off on loan to some French club. So you'd like to think he'd be quite involved there, and he deserves to be really because he's a good player. And obviously, the Sunderland link leads us on to Barini. Now, this is the big news of the day so far, really, and sort of broke in the last hour or so. He was obviously we accepted a £14 million bid from Sunderland, which everyone would agree is very good money for Barini. He hasn't been involved. Rodgers with some pretty damning quotes in the week. The writing's on the wall. He's not going to be involved at all, really. And he needs to go off and play is basically what he said. He said he's happy with the strikers we've got. So this bid was accepted, but for one reason or another, that nobody seems to know really. The Northern Echo seemed to think it's sort of to do with his wife or wife-to-be, I think it is, not wanting to stay up in the northeast, which some might be able to understand. And others have said it's to do with he wants to have a go at Liverpool. Gus Poyet has said it's not because he doesn't want to go to Sunderland as such. But there hasn't been any news on that today, and a new team have emerged. That team being QPR. Now, in the last hour or so, various reports, Mr. James Pearce, Sky Sports, I think Ian Dennis of the BBC actually had it first, said that we've actually accepted a bid from QPR for a permanent move. Because it did look like he might go off on loan this late in the window, but a permanent move seems to be in the offing of around 10 to 12 million pounds. Again, that fee seems to vary, but I don't think many Liverpool fans are gonna complain about that. 10 to 12 million for a player that doesn't even get in, our 18-man squad. You'd bite the hand off. So that's all agreed between the clubs. Doesn't mean he's going there though, as you've seen with the Sunderland move. Ball's in Barini's court now, really. Maybe his wife will prefer QPR because it's down in London, and it's widely reported they are after a striker. Because obviously Remy's gone off to Chelsea now, the French striker who was set to join Liverpool earlier in the transfer window, of course, but he's gone off to Chelsea, so they are in need of a striker. Jermaine Defoe's been linked today as well. Obviously the Redknapp link there, but that's gone a bit quiet. He's supposed to be in the UK, but there's supposedly a few clubs in for him. So it looks like Borini, people are saying it'll be one or the other, but with them making a bid for Borini, I think that that one is what they're prioritising. Last night on Borini, there was stuff. There's been various reports last few days about interest from abroad on Borini. Last night, I think it was the Times. Yeah, it was Gary Jacob in the Times, the transfer man for the Times, said that it was actually Inter Milan that had come in for Borini on what was a loan deal. But again, that it was reported then that Liverpool are holding out for a permanent move, and there hasn't been any news on that today. There's been, I think, the London Evening Standard, who first broke the QPR news, said that Newcastle and AC Milan were the teams that were in for Borini as well as QPR. So we'll have to wait and see, but there's definite movement there. That bid's been accepted from QPR, and we have to wait and see what Borini wants to do. As I say, Rodgers, there's no doubt Rodgers has told him he's not part of the plan. So if he doesn't end up going anywhere, then it's his loss really. He's the one that won't be playing any football. Another deal that we've all sort of wanted to happen for a fair while is Osama Saidi to Stoke. Now, like Borini, deal agreed between the clubs just over a month ago, £7 million, which is quite a lot. This is double what we actually paid for him. That deal was agreed. Looked like it was going to happen, but it stalled. No one seems to know why. Some said that it was because of his wage demands. Other people said it was because he wanted to pay a payoff from Liverpool. But what's emerged today is that Assaidi looks set to join Stoke on a loan deal, with them paying, everyone who's reporting that is saying that they're going to pay his wages. So, you'd assume that it's not wages that are a problem for him going there permanently if they're going to pay his wages anyway. So yeah, that looks like it will go through later on. I think the only reason they revived that, because they've obviously signed Moses, it looked like that deal was dead in the water after they signed Moses, but the only reason they've revived it is because Odem Wingy happened to get injured at the weekend. So they wanted another option there. Nathan Redmond's been linked today, so is Aaron Lennon. And there's one other winger, I can't remember off the top of my head, that Sky Sports were reporting that they wanted. But Assaidi, again, the bid's gone in, things are agreed. He's off there for a medical this evening. So Coates looks off to Sunderland. Borini looks, deal agreed, we'll say, between Liverpool and QPR. And Assaidi's off to Stoke. So that's, three of the main guys that, we probably wanted to let go look like they're off. Other than that, Lucas, there's been, I say there's been a lot of speculation. There hasn't really been. I mean, there was stuff this morning linking him with Galatasaray and Napoli. But nothing's really come of that. And if I'm honest, as I've been saying on here every week, I'd be surprised if Liverpool were to let him go with Gerrard as the only sort of, Gerrard is the only holder. I mean, Chan can play there, but I'm not, he's only played as a box-to-box midfielder for us so far. So you'd assume that they want to trying to keep hold of Lucas, and nothing's come up. It could be the sort of deal that, you know, something comes up later on, but, you know, I'd be surprised. There's a Lucas had a dig at Indy Kyler on Twitter earlier on, saying because I think Indy Kyler said that he was in talks with 2 Premier League clubs, and Lucas said, well, you're giving the wrong information to your followers. So that's obviously not the case, and so we have to wait and see with that. But there's, I doubt that he's going to go anywhere. The other main one was Suso. Now, it's a strange one with Suso because he's obviously come back, and as I expected, you know, we've obviously signed a lot of attacking midfielders and attacking players in general, i.e. Lallana, Markovic, Balotelli now, and Ray Chan's come in. So it's hard to see, and obviously Lambert, so it's hard to see where he's going to, you know, get a look in. So it's a strange one. And it was even stranger when it emerged, according to the Echo, Liverpool were in talks with Suso's people about a new contract. He's going into the last year of his current deal. You'd assume they'd do that sort of as a safety net, because I really can't see him being that involved. But it does seem as if there is some interest there, an interest from AC Milan. DiMarzio reported, I think it was the day before last, that that they were after him on loan. I think it's a loan move. Could be wrong there actually. I have to look that up in a minute. But AC Milan seem to want Suso, so it could be something that happens later. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him go at all, really, because as I say, you can't really see him getting a look in at all. He hasn't been in any of the squads. He hasn't even travelled to any of the away games, I don't think. So that's one to keep your eye on, Suso to Milan maybe. And, you know, I'm surprised that, you know, we know he's quite a big talent. He's got a very good left foot. Spanish youth international. So I'd be surprised if there's not other clubs in for him, really. Other link or other transfer that's actually gone through today. Just going to the under 21s, it was confirmed earlier on. I think it was confirmed that Christian Adorjan, who spent last year on loan at Groningen, he's going back. He's going out on a permanent move to Novara, who are an Italian 3rd division side, I believe. So best of luck to him. I mean, he like I said, he was on loan last year, so we didn't get to see him. But there was a couple of years where he looked like he was, you know, he's gonna break through, and he was one of the best players in that under 20 setup. So best of luck to Christian Adorjan in Italy. Other funny thing today, Luis Suarez turned up at Melwood this morning, just as he would. He'd choose deadline day to come and visit, of course. He was just basically, I think Sky Sports saying he was picking up some stuff, but he was also Stevie Gerrard put some things up on Instagram of he said bearing gifts. That Suarez was bearing gifts, and he brought him a Barcelona shirt with Suarez on the back, which was signed and stuff. So and he also had his pictures taken with Flanagan and Johnson. So Suarez was at Melwood today briefly. I think that was sort of late morning. So that was interesting to see. Again, you know, that's basically everything regarding outgoings, and that seems to be the main bulk of the business today. So we'll have to wait and see. But at the moment, Quatez, Barini, you'd say, and Asaidi they're certain to go, really. Suso, there's a question mark over, and possibly Lucas too, although I find that even more unlikely, to be honest. Enrique, you know, there's been stuff about him going, but I think that'll, you know, he came on yesterday, and whilst we've got injuries at fullback, I think he'll stay for the time being, and maybe he'll go in January or next summer. So that's it. That's everything at the moment. I'm just checking now to see if there's any updates, but like I say, things in place for Barini to go off to QPR, things in place for Asaidi to go off to Stoke on loan again, just as he did last year. And Quatez is at Sunderland having a medical ahead of linking up with his fellow countryman Gus Poyet. So that's everything regarding outgoings. Like I say, Victor Valdez might be coming in the future. So, you know, we did a few questions out on Twitter earlier. It's obviously been a very eventful window. 9 players coming in, like I say, just to get people's thoughts in. I tweeted out earlier people's favourite deal of the summer regarding Liverpool. At Sarkis_proxy says, moving all the highway expensive deadwood was very good business. Our bench on Sunday was very decent. That's very true. Many people thought Lallana would be on the bench yesterday. I mean, he was in the squad, but we had Coutinho on there, we had Markovic, Lambert, and then Ray Chan, who came on and did well second half. So squad's shaping up really well. Like, you can pick 2 11s now that are really good sides. We've got 2-3 players for each position. And the work we've done this summer is fantastic, really, especially considering we've obviously lost what was our best player. Other thoughts in at Bray's Buzzards says, we were immense at Spurs with a few injuries and still had a strong bench. Rodgers has bought really well, just what I've said, really. Asked people for their favourite signings of the summer so far. At Dingram14 says, right now, Moreno and Markovic. Can't wait to see what Lallana brings, though. Chan's been impressive as well. Yeah, I'd agree. I think Moreno was one I was really wanting the whole summer, because, as I've said in here before, when we were first linked with him, I didn't think that was going to happen at all. I mean, there were obviously links to Real Madrid, Chelsea, and the quality of left back that he is, I didn't think that would happen at all. Then it emerged, I think it was James Pearce in the Echo, that he was our top transfer target for left back. And I just didn't think that would go through at all. And when that news came out, we were sort of stalling over prices for Lallana, and it looked like it was going to be same old Liverpool from previous windows, sort of not willing to pay up when it really counts. But I think left back for me was the biggest void that we had to fill this summer, and he's the best left back out there we could have got. You see his goal yesterday; he's already making such a difference. Defensively, he's obviously very good, and going forwards, very, very quick, great left foot. So I'd have to say at the moment that's my favourite transfer as well. Markovic has come on a couple of times, done very well. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of him. And I'd agree that Lallana, who's actually, funny thing, we played Spurs off the park yesterday, and we were without our biggest signing of the summer. I think it's sort of 22, 23 million it's reported to have cost us to bring Lallana in, and we haven't seen him yet. So we've still got him to come in, so it's good times at the moment. Balotelli had a really good debut, and looks like, the signs are that he's more than willing to buy into what Rodgers' sort of philosophy. So some good thoughts there from at Dingram14. Some other thoughts in regarding best transfer. At FZNLC says, the best transfer window we've had in a very long time. My favourite transfer would be Mario Balotelli. £16 million is a steal. As I just say, if he carries on playing like he did yesterday, he's going to get goals. With him and Sturridge, you've got guaranteed goals there. Even when they don't score, we're winning at White Hart Lane 3-0. So, that was a steal. And you can see, having played the diamond yesterday, you can see how key it was that we brought in another striker. We were obviously playing that 4-3-3, which is okay. But having another striker, it allows Sterling to come in central and give Sturridge more space to work. And, Balotelli was a brilliant one to bring in. It was highly unexpected, so, happy days with that one. At Mansour Mario says, Alberto Moreno is my favourite transfer. Quality player, needed a decent left back for ages now, and glad we finally got one. I'd agree there. At the Special Guns says, very good business this summer. Needed numbers in the squad, and we've improved in all areas. Moreno, Markovic and Balotelli the most exciting. So yeah, exactly what I've just said, really. I mean, if we go through the transfers one by one, the first one was Ricky Lambert. He had a sort of a, pre-season, he didn't, he missed the penalty and it didn't go too well for him, but fitness-wise it was very, very beneficial for him. He came in and he's done very well. The 2 games he's come off the bench have obviously gone to score. He won us the game against Southampton. Well, his presence did. We obviously crossed the ball in towards him, and Sturridge, the goal eventually ended up being Sturridge's. And then he came on and was involved. You know, some people say it was his goal. I think it's actually gone down as a Zappaleta own goal against City. And Rodgers has said, you know, he knows his role. He said from the start he knows his role. He knows he's here to come off the bench and try and make a difference and give us another option. And at £4 million, was our first transfer. Was very unexpected, but a very shrewd bit of business. 2-year contract, and I think we'll be seeing some Ricky Lambert heroics, a fair few Ricky Lambert heroics during his time at Liverpool. After that, our second signing, I believe, was Emre Can. Deal was agreed in principle, and then I think it was completed just after the Lallana one. Can, yeah, you can see the qualities he's going to bring. You know, he's a versatile player. He's built for the Premier League in size-wise, and you see yesterday where he set up Sterling for that chance at the end, where God knows how Sterling missed, but he breaks forward, and people think, oh, because of his size, he's not too quick and he's not very mobile. But trust me, it's exactly the opposite. He's very good running forward with the ball, good passing range, and scarily enough, I believe he's only 20. And I think he's going to be a real asset for us. You know, good technical ability. He's captain Germany at youth level, so that was a great deal at about £10 million. And you see Javi Martinez getting injured at Bayern Munich, and you know, you wonder whether if they'd have known that was coming, they'd have activated that option to bring Can back to Bayern Munich. That was the second deal, and you know, I think we'll be seeing more of him as the Champions League games kick in and stuff. And the squad is really stretched. He's come on last 2 games and looked good. I dare say he'll get his first start pretty soon. I was quite surprised he didn't start the first game against Southampton, but I think there was fitness issues there, and he went with Lucas. Third deal, Adam Lallana. You know, in some ways, this is the one I'm most excited about, in that he is a perfect fit for what Liverpool need at the moment. You know, they've got the pacey hitters, they've got the clinical strikers, and Lallana's a very well balanced player, very, you know, 2-footed, very versatile, presses very well. He's a leader. He ticks every box for the profile of player that Brendan Rodgers always says he wants. So, you know, we haven't seen anything of him yet. But the thing that made me most happy about this deal, as I've sort of alluded to already, is that we got it over the line. Previous windows, you know, it took 3 bids to get Lallana, I think. Previous windows, we wouldn't have gone any higher, and we had given up and moved on to some other substandard target. And you know, for a while that looked to be the case, and it looked like it was going to be exactly the same with Lallana. But we got that done after the World Cup, and you know, since then it's just been a habit, just getting deals done by the click of a finger. Really, we know Moreno dragged on a bit, but it was worth it to get him for 12 million. It was quite an unbelievable price to get him for, really. So that was the third deal. The fourth deal, I believe, was Lazar Markovic. And some people were sort of surprised by Markovic when he came in that he was initially touted as a Lallana alternative. But I always said, but like when we were linked with him, I was thinking, well, we could kind of do with both, in that if we are going to play the diamond, you know, you've got Lallana to compete with Coutinho, sort of in that third midfield spot next to Jordan Henderson, and you've got Sterling to compete with Markovic for that number, for the role at the tip of the diamond. And Sterling's 19, as good as he is, and to be fair, he probably could go a whole season without having much rest. The build and quality that he's got, but you can't make guarantees like that. And Markovic seems another brilliant fit in that, you know, ticks all the boxes, works hard, very quick, very exciting. Just 20 years of age, 1 year older than Sterling. Can play across the front line, and that's what I'm really excited about. You know, when you consider our front, you know, our attacking options in a few years, you know, you've got Origi who's 19, you've got Sterling 19, Sturridge turned 25 today, you've got Balotelli 24, you've got Coutinho 22, I think. You you know, the youth there, and obviously like Markovic, like I've mentioned, in a few years' time, once they've peaked, we should have a scarily good attack. And he, you know, he's a really exciting player to watch, Markovic, and we've seen that already. And just like Emre Can, really, I think we'll see a lot more of him in terms of starting games after the like when the Champions League games kick in. The fifth one, and this is quite an interesting one, was Dejan Lovren. I think a lot of us, including myself, were a little sceptical in terms of, you know, what he would actually, you know, whether he was the centre back we needed. Everyone knew that it was very important for us to bring in a centre back. We needed someone very vocal, and to be fair, you know, I hadn't seen enough of Lovren. You know, there's people like James Pearce saying, "Oh, Brendan just sees him as the leader," and I was thinking, really? But he is. You can see already. And I remember the first interview Rodgers did about Lovren. He said he's ideal for us in that he can, you know, he's aggressive, but he's a leader, just like Carragher was. He said we've needed that since Carragher left. But he can play as well, and you can immediately see that off both feet. Very good passer of the ball, very good tackler, and he's also very quick. I noticed that he's a very mobile sort of player, and he's a real perfect fit. You know, he switched to right centre back yesterday in Skirtle's absence. He can do that. He gives us so many options, and he's looking like he's, you know, the perfect centre back for us. And I think they've really, you know, they've surprised a few people with that one and how good he actually is. So, you know, like I say, centre back was probably the biggest problem for us going into this transfer window, and we've addressed it with a very good centre back. Kept a clean sheet yesterday, obviously, and we looked very organised. The sixth signing, Divock Origi, I believe, as we've already mentioned him a bit. You know, Rodgers has said, this guy I expect to be one of the best talent in world football. He's got everything as a striker. Big shame he has to go back to Lille this season. He was amazing in the World Cup. I've watched Lille a few times this season already, and you know, they really don't look very good at all in terms of you know, creating chances for Origi to feed off, which is what he wants. He's also, I've seen him, you know, he's been used out on the left wing a bit. So let's hope he can get through this season, you know, injury free and stuff, and come in next summer as the talent he is now. Because if he can, our striking options are going to be brilliant. With Balotelli, probably get another year out of Lambert, Sturridge, and Origi. That was again, you know, that indicated, you know, how shrewd we've been this year. I think that's the best way to describe our transfer window so far. In that was all agreed. That was supposedly all agreed before the World Cup. The World Cup, everyone sees him and goes, "Oh, this guy's brilliant," and all sorts of other clubs came in for him supposedly. But you know, we got that one in early, and we were always front runners. And he said he came to the club to sort of meet the staff and that, and everyone knew his name. You know, that they all had. Brendan Rodgers said he showed tapes of him of like as a 15-year-old player playing for Belgium youth teams and stuff. So really, really happy to get that one over the line as well. I'm looking forward to seeing him next. The seventh still core. I'm pushing my memory here. I haven't got this written on nothing. I think was Javier Manquillo. Yes, it was. I don't think many people were expecting us. You know, some people wanted a right back. With obviously Johnson's form hasn't been so good. But I, for one, didn't expect it to come in this window. I think what happened with that is that we sort of, you know, the opportunity came along and we couldn't really turn it down. We were supposedly in talks with him in January on deadline day about coming in, and you see already, just like Moreno, he's a Brendan Rodgers type of fullback. He's happy to play very high up, just like Rodgers wants, but he's determined. He'll get back when he needs to get back, and he's a very good defender. Rodgers always says he wants his defenders to defend first. I mean, it sounds obvious, but a lot of our players didn't do that, and he's very good with the blocking crosses and that. He had another pretty solid game yesterday. Good tackler, and I believe he's only 20, so only just turned 20. So a lot of development to happen there. Could quite easily be our first choice right back for years to come, I think. I don't think many people expected him to settle in as well as he has, and you know, he's been pretty faultless so far. He was very unlucky to miss out against City, and now with Johnson's injury, I think there's quite a good chance he'll stay in there. So we're delighted to get that one over the line. That was the 7th transfer. The 8th one, I believe, was Alberto Moreno. And like I say, that one dragged on for ages, and that's probably the most important one in my opinion. It's just, you know, huge deal to get over the line. Such big talent. See his goal yesterday, runs 60 yards with it, stays tight to his man, and fantastic finish left foot. He's a huge talent who, with Rodgers, could become very, very good. I think certainly Spain's next left back. And delighted to bring that sort of player to the club. And the 9th one was Mario Balotelli, believe it or not. We'd done all that good business beforehand, and everyone was thinking, yeah, well, we've sold Suarez and we still need this attacker. Or I should say this striker. Looked like it was going to be Loic Remy. Didn't happen for whatever reason, supposedly medical issues. But, you know, if you could have said back then, right, well, you're not going to get Remy, you're going to get Balotelli, I think many of us would have wanted us to call that off. Didn't look like a goer at first. Obviously, there's a famous quote from Rodgers saying he can categorically tell everyone that Balotelli won't be joining Liverpool. But things obviously changed, probably to do with price. £16 million is no doubt is an absolute snip. And again, you know, he seems to have a bit of a connection with Sturridge and Sterling already. And if he plays like he did yesterday, we've got a fantastic strike force. He gives us so many good options. And you know, we've got Italy's number 9 there. We've got England's number 9 there. And it's happy days in terms of attack at the moment. And so yeah, that's been our transfer so far. Like I say, Victor Valdez. Just seen an update on Victor Valdez actually. Let me try and find it. Yeah, Independent are saying that Liverpool are likely to sign Victor Valdez next month if their initial talks come to fruition. So, yeah, it seems like, you know, we've certainly lined him up as a good target. And watching the first few games, I think, you know, Tony Barrett said earlier in the window there are question marks amongst the coaching staff at Anfield about Mignolet. I mean, there's no doubt he's a fantastic shot stopper, as he showed again yesterday, and he did keep us in the game yesterday, but some of his distribution and that is questionable. I think a keeper like Valdez, with his vast amount of experience to come in, is more than ideal, because he could quite easily play instead of him, or he'd offer fantastic backup. And if we can bring him in eventually, then options in goal are looking just as good as they are in the outfield positions. So yeah, 9 deals, possibly 10. He's a free agent, so we can get him in the next couple of months. Doesn't have to be today, as I've already mentioned. So we're pretty cool with that, and that could happen anytime soon. So I think I've kept you rounded up there with everything. Obviously, transfer deadline day today. As I say, just to recap for the guys that missed the show at the beginning, Cortez has had his medical at Sunderland. Barini, deal has been agreed between QPR and Liverpool. Ball's in Barini's court even for that. And the third deal that looks likely to go through today is Usama Asaidi to Stoke on loan. We'll have to wait and see with Suso. Maybe there could be some movement with Lucas. And Christian Adorjan's joined Serie C side Navarro. So that's the latest today. I've been looking, whilst I've been doing this, I've been looking for updates on Twitter, but there hasn't been much in terms of outgoings. Just that what I've read you, that line of Victor Valdez there. So yeah, brilliant. I've had a really good time doing this show, this transfer window. It's definitely something that we're going to look to do every transfer window now. We've had really good interaction. Lots of views, and it's just been very enjoyable to do. I mean, obviously this is probably going to be Liverpool's busiest window for a fair while. Rodgers has been saying it'd be our busiest window for a couple of years. So yeah, been really good fun to host. Obviously, lots to talk about. Had some really good guests with me, and we'll be back in January, I'm sure. Just a quick heads up on some other content coming from the Bib Theorists. I'll be back doing TBT Live, which is a post-match live Google Hangout, which we did last season. I'll be back doing that in a few weeks' time. There's some changes that we need to announce there regarding the setup of the show, but that'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. And obviously, make sure you tune in to TBT Talks, the podcast that Harry Hugo puts out every week, or Steve Hall has been hosting it recently. That's all very good. And for other sort of Liverpool-related content, make sure you visit www.thebibtheorist.com or at thebibtheorist on Twitter. So, this has been me, Jack Sear, just keeping you up to date with all the transfer news today. And like I say, been really good fun keeping you all posted and talking transfers this summer, and we'll do it again in January and future windows to come. We'll see you soon then.